Welcome back to another episode of Askewed Reviews. And today I'm reviewing a film that's currently in theaters. And the movie that I'm referring to is the 2025 film The Long Walk, directed by Francis Lawrence. So, this is a movie that is based off of a Stephen King novel of the same name. And if that right there isn't enough to interest you in going and watching this, let me tell you a little bit more about the concept. So the movie takes place in a semi dystopian world right after a war has occurred. Now, more than likely, if I remember correctly from the book, I think it's supposed to be after the Vietnam War. So this is kind of an alternate reality. So in this world, there does seem to be a lot of things that are in short supply. Also, a lot of the frivolities of life have been pretty much pushed to the wayside, and some have even been considered illegal. Now, similar to other stories like The Hunger Games or The Running Man, there is an opportunity in this world to make things better for yourselves and maybe even your family. They have a competition called the Long Walk. Now, this is something that only men can participate in. And technically, you can just put yourself into the draft for this, but more than likely, everyone who is in this country is trying to be a part of this. The way that the challenge goes is everyone involved has to go on this walk. Now, the issue here is that there is no finish line, and only one person can be the winner at the end of all of it. Now, if you do end up winning, though, once you are the final contestant, you actually pretty much get to have your dream come true, whatever it could be. Apparently, it could be money, it could be food. One person even asked for an elephant one year. For this year's competition, we have almost 50 contestants. And like I said, they're all men. Now, at the very beginning of it, each of them gets to meet up and gets to chat a little bit before the walk starts. They then all meet a character known as the Major, who is the person in charge of this. And what they do is they make sure that everyone is maintaining their speed and that no one is actually slowing down. Now, to keep track of this, number one, the Major and some of his soldiers are actually riding in vehicles that are right nearby the entire time. Secondly, everyone involved is wearing this little tracker that is making sure that everyone is walking at 3 miles per hour or faster. If you go under that, you are given 3 warnings. After that third warning, though, one of the soldiers will terminate you from the competition. Also, if at any point you leave the road or try to escape, you will also be terminated. And the only time you could have backed out is the day before the competition started. Once you start walking, there's no getting out of this. Now, maybe you're sitting there and going, I can walk for a really long time. Maybe I could do this. Do keep in mind, though, there's no stopping, there's no bathroom breaks, there's no breaks of any kind. Everyone just has to keep walking until there's only one left. You are, however, able to carry some supplies with you, so you can try to plan as best as you can. You might be wondering, well, does this movie get boring at all, being the fact that we're just following a bunch of guys walking along? It really doesn't. They do a good job of a couple of things. Number one, getting to know the characters and giving them some good backstory. Two, there are a couple of flashbacks here and there. And three, there are just some very intense or very emotional moments that pulls you further into the story. One of my very favorite things about Stephen King is he's so good at writing character interactions pretty much no matter who is directing the film. Because when watching this, I really did get a lot of kind of nostalgia towards films like Stand By Me or It when it came to the Losers Club. In my own opinion, really the only thing that I wasn't as big of a fan of is I felt like they should have given a lot more backstory to these characters. Because you are just following them for the whole movie. And you get to know a few of them and you get to have a connection with them. But I would have liked to get to know some of the other characters more so that when something happened to them or when they were taken out of this and stuff like that, that I felt more impact from that. I also really wished that I lived in California because they did a premiere there where if you were going to watch the movie, you actually went into this theater that had treadmills and you had to walk on the treadmills during the entire movie to be able to watch it. And if you stopped at any point, you could not finish the film. And that just sounds like it would have been so different and interesting. And I honestly don't mind walking for a while. So for me on my scale, I'm going to give The Long Walk a 3 out of 5. It was very close to being a 4 out of 5, but I really just needed a bit more character depth, and then it would have pushed it just over for me. So while this is in theaters, I do recommend going and checking this out for yourselves. And if you've already seen it, let me know what you thought about it in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Askewed Reviews. And if there's any other films coming to theater that you think I should watch and do a review for, feel free to mention those in the comments as well.